are watching Big Monday as part of Road to Champ Week presented by Wendy's. This is the ACC on ESPN, and tonight from Cameron Indoor, it's the ACC. The Duke Blue Devils flying high after back-to-back wins. They welcome in the Louisville Cardinals here in Durham. These two head coaches, both national champions as players. They're both in their first year. These two coaching staffs could really play. Nolan Smith there, that's only Danny Manning. I mean, that's a game you want to see too. And Kenny Payne, he was a first-round draft pick. Not too shabby. Dave O'Brien, Corey Alexander, he could play too out of the University of Virginia. And Dre Carter joining us in just a couple of moments. You know, we were watching Duke really blow out Syracuse on Saturday. One of their best games of the year. And Corey, they made 13 threes in that game. They're flying high coming in.
Absolutely, and they're healthy. They're whole. John Shire has a complete complement with this team, and he's excited about their future even throughout this year.
Duke coming in looking for their 20th win of the season, and they win the opening tip. Knocking off Syracuse 77-55 in front of 31,000 on Saturday in the Dome. Really took the crowd out of it quickly. Looking for a quick strike, but a misfiring close there by Roach, who had a good game. He had 17 in that contest. And for Louisville, they're trying to get on the board first, and they will, getting it in a lane to J.J. Traynor, the 6'8 junior.
That's a great start for the Cards. Kenny Payne talked to us earlier today about how important it was to get off to a good start and handle the basketball and the pressure from the Blue Devils not turning it over.
Filipowski handling it up top there a moment ago. Now gets in the block. They're going to knock it away from him. Stolen away by Jalen Withers. He has it on the wing. Louisville at 4 and 23, but proving on a given day anyone is vulnerable. They upset Clemson on Saturday, 83-73.
And this Louisville team is playing better. That's a block shot by Mitchell, getting out, doing the job defensively, and not allowing Mike James to get that three off. Nice effort by Mitchell.
Roach looking for someone inside. That's going to be Lively, and he's going to draw the foul. Derek Lively, the 7'1 freshman. A good game against Syracuse and blocked 3 more shots, and he's proving to be one of the best shot blockers in the country.
He absolutely is. Second in the ACC in block shots. You get a chance to look at Duke's starting 5. And, of course, they haven't had a complete starting 5 all season long, but now starting to develop some continuity with this group.
Talked about Filipowski a moment ago. 7-foot freshman. Just locked down yet another ACC Rookie of the Week. It's the 8th time this season that he has taken that honor home, so a pretty good bet where it's going to go.
You going to step out on that limb?
I'm stepping out way on the limb and say Kyle Filipowski will be the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. They might want to call that a branch.
That's how I roll right there. Safe as it gets. Off the back iron by Withers. Good three-point man at about 44%. Traynor denied the paint by Filipowski. On the drive, flipped up and in. Nice move by L. Ellis, averaging 18 a game coming in.
And L. Ellis named ACC Co-Player of the Week this week, sharing that honor with Jarkel Joyner from NC State. And these two guards have been playing great basketball over their last few games. The last 3 specifically for L. Ellis.
You had NC State yesterday on a Sunday just running by North Carolina. On the spin, Mitchell trying a window but came up empty. L. Ellis is a Durham, North Carolina native. He'll have that one rattle in from three-point territory. Nice to be home.
It's great for him to be home. He had 18 in this game a year ago, and he is excited about playing in front of his friends and family. We asked Kenny Payne, you got to tone him down a little bit because he's home to calm the emotions.
There's the slam by Lively. They love that play. Going to Lively to big. He can get up and over that iron higher than anybody.
But the value is really in the passer. You got a 7-footer thrown into a 7-footer, attacking off the bounce and finding his freshman teammate.
Withers with a turnaround from the foul line. That'll roll off the iron. Proctor wants to push it. Duke holding opponents to just 64 points a game. They have been outstanding defensively all season long. Filipowski up to set a screen. Here's Proctor. And a shot clock down to 10. Duke is 13 for 26 from 3. They're going to go downstairs for the slam. Filipowski rising up high. He can do that too. Averaging 15 points, 9 rebounds a game. Ellis gives it up to Trainer. Louisville season started with a 9-game losing skid. They won a couple of games, then they promptly lost 10 in a row. But they're playing pretty well coming in. Here's Trainer off the back of that iron. Proctor leading the charge. Trying to squeeze in there, but couldn't get it to go.
Great job by the Cards getting back defensively.
Ellis, man, way downtown. Will sink that one. He's the only Louisville Cardinal technically in double figures for the year.
And Ellis excited about his opportunity to come home, imploring his bench and making sure all of his guys are on board with his level of enthusiasm playing at Cameron Indoor.
Roach stepping in the lane, Mitchell with the finish. But to back up on Ellis, there aren't many players in the ACC as hot as he is right now for this particular stretch. You know, like over the last 3, 4, 5 games, he's really shooting it well.
He absolutely is. He's playing great basketball. John Shire told us before the game that no one has more value to their team than does Ellis. Andrea Carter's going to talk to us about that when we come back from the break. But Ellis looking to add to his tab.
There he goes again.
Knocks down another 3-ball. So by the time Andrea gets to talk about he may already be in double figures.
Well, he's coming off 28 against Clemson. And the last 3 games, he's getting over 27 points a game. He got a 33-point game in a loss to Miami. Louisville really off to a great start for them. Roach with a fall away. Rebound comes to Ellis. He wants to push the tempo. Duke getting back defensively. Trainer went to make a move, and that's a travel.
OB, we've had some excitement early in this one. We've got 7-footers sharing the basketball. Big on big crime here for the Blue Devils multiple times as Filipowski gets the dunk. But the way you combat that, L in Spanish is the, and this time is the 3.
Well, the Ville on top 13-7. It's been the L. Ellis show. 11 points already. For more on his story, let's toss it down to Dre.
Well, Dave, if you look at the box score in this game, in this matchup last season, there were 7 double-figure scorers, 4 for Duke and 3 for Louisville. And the only one of those 7 that remains is L. Ellis. He is a Durham native. He is the Louisville point guard. I talked to him at shoot-around today. He said anytime he plays a school from his home state of North Carolina, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Corey mentioned he had 18 in this matchup last season. That was off of the bench. His role has changed. He is the point guard now. Corey, you also mentioned managing his emotions. What else is important for L. Ellis to have success today?
Managing his turnovers. That has been really the issue that L. Ellis has had this season. But since the calendar year turned to 2023, he actually has a positive +24 assist-to-turnover ratio. And so, therefore, he is developing as that point guard, that leader that Kenny Payne needs for this team to be successful.
So to that point, every single time as Lively gets a dunk inside, every time Ellis plays against a team from North Carolina, he has a chip on his shoulder. That's a bag of chips, man.
That's a bag of chips, especially in this league.
Yes.
When you consider there are 4 teams, and you may play a couple of them twice. So, yeah, that gives L, as you said so eloquently, my friend, a bag of chips.
A big bag of chips you're carrying around. Outside for Trainer.
And that's
starting to hit from out there.
OB, that's the guy that helps Louisville. 16 points for J.J. Trainer in the win over Clemson, which was a career high, but he also had 9 rebounds and 3 block shots in that game. And when you look at J.J. Trainer at that 4 position, he can stretch the floor, open up a lot of opportunities for L in the middle.
Filipowski on the spin, left the basketball on the deck, and it's scooped up by the Ville. Louisville defensively has had all sorts of problems this year, but they can score when they get rolling, and that one's going to drop down by Curry.
And one of the areas Louisville has improved. They've now out to their largest lead, 9 points in this game. They have gotten so much better this season, as have the Blue Devils. That's one of the things with the ACC. The teams get better throughout the year because they play against each other in different styles, which allows them to be able to develop this team.
Lively will draw the foul. He'll be going to the line. 12:55 to go here at Cameron Indoor in the first half. I agree with that. We saw Duke, Dickie V and I, just roll past Syracuse on Saturday. I thought that was the best that Duke looked all season long.
And you also saw Duke get blown away at Miami 2 weeks ago, and you're talking about a team that has taken that lesson and become a better team because of it.
Lively at the stripe, and here's our SEC Big Ten Super Tuesday doubleheader. 7 Eastern, number 11 Tennessee taking on Texas A&M, and then number 17 Indiana squares off against Michigan State. That's on ESPN and the app as we get closer and closer to Selection Day. Ryan End will come on in now for John Shire. Lively playing really good basketball here.
He absolutely is, and that's part of that improvement for the Duke Blue Devils team. You think about the fact that Derek Lively started this season injured. He slowly integrated himself into the lineup. Now as a starter has become the rim protection and the anchor defensively that the Blue Devils need. But when you have Ryan Young to come off the bench to add that level of experience, it only makes this team better.
Because Lively had that 8-block game against North Carolina. Smooth lands, he'll swing for the corner, and Trainer gets caught underneath. Mitchell defending, got the shot up there anyway, and almost went down, and a whistle. And that'll go the other way. 12:30 to go in the half. And a foul against Louisville. That'll go against Curry. Kenny Payne, first year at the helm for the Cardinals, told us today at their practice, absolutely critical the Cardinals get off to a good start and not get down by a bunch early, and they have done that. They have really followed their coach's edict.
And he was tough on those guys in shoot around today. They came in with a little lackadaisical attitude. He wanted to make sure they were locked in, had his guys running lines in shoot around. You don't see that often in college basketball.
Proctor lines up a long one, and down it goes. The freshman is only making about 29% from the three-point line, but he can be a confident shooter from out there. Out of Sydney, Australia. Lands the freshman from Indianapolis. Curry going up against Young. And yes, it's a walk. He traveled with it. Duke has tightened it up here, but Louisville still on top, 18-14 in the first half. ESPN's exclusive presentation. Well, Louisville has been a wildly successful program. 8 Final Fours, 2 national championships, 77 NBA draft picks. Who's your all-time favorite Cardinal?
The guy right in the center of the screen up top, the part down the middle of his hair, my guy, Milt Wagner. That was my guy. Loved him, wore my hair just like that. Of course, watching the Cards growing up and getting all the opportunities to see that. Of course, Kenny Payne on my favorite Louisville team, where they won a national championship in 1986. Milt Wagner, part of that, as well as our guy everyone loves, Never Nervous, Purvis.
Well, one of the reasons he was a great player. The nickname is beyond compare.
Absolutely.
One of the great nicknames in college basketball history. You were mentioning Dr. Duncanstein as well, Darrell Griffiths earlier. There's so many great ones on that list.
Darrell Griffith still may be the mayor of Louisville. I mean, he's so popular in Louisville, has a huge party during the Derby. And again, he's well known for his attributes in the off the floor as Duke and Grandison knocked down the three to make this a one-point game.
And Grandison is 6'6" grad at the University of Illinois. Duke starting to hit those triples. Here's Mitchell on the loose. Mitchell went for the dunk, and he gets fouled on the play. He'll be up to shoot 2.
But just like that, a game that was a 9-point lead for the Cards. Now an opportunity for the Blue Devils to take a lead, and Duke doing it defensively, getting out. We talked to John Shire about who wanted to step up and guard L. Ellis. Well, L. Ellis got going early. You see Tyrese Proctor now stepping up, taking on that challenge, forcing the turnover. And Coach Shire talked to Dre and I about the fact that, Tyrese has grown not only as a point guard where he's playing that new role, but also more so as a defender.
Good passer. Had 8 assists against Georgia Tech, 7 against Virginia Tech. Another one coming here from Mitchell. Fouled by James. Going for the dunk. And we'll roll that in. Nice touch. And that's a 10-0 run as Duke has jumped in front 19-18.
We talked about how Coach Payne had his guys running lines and shoot around today, and he talked about it was important for them to win the day. Win the shoot around. Win the first 4 minutes of this game, which they did. However, they've lost the last few because the Blue Devils are on their heels now.
Rolling off the iron by James, the freshman. 10-19 to go in the half, and once again you can feel that turn in Duke's favor. We saw this on Saturday inside the Dome at Syracuse. Even though there were 31,000, they were ready to lose their minds. Duke took them right out of the game. They went on a couple of those patented Blue Devil runs.
And that's the maturity of a good team. When you win against hostile crowds on the road, that is showing that maturity.
Mitchell working, 1 foot in the paint, kicks it out. Proctor will set it up. Young sets a screen. They move the ball well for Grandison again, and he's wide open to stick the triple. Well, tremendous ball movement. Look at this, 7 assists on 7 made field goals.
And it would have been easy for Dariq Whitehead to have taken that 3, but he made the extra pass. You show this team is connected right now, playing as a unit, not as individuals.
Louisville needs a little Al Ellis at the moment. He started off like a house of fire. James will launch. He can't hit it. 1 and done on that possession as Mitchell brings it across. Grandison calling for the ball again in the corner. He's got a hot hand. He wants to shoot it. And a foul with 9:15 left in the half. And Duke jumping on top 22-18.
Corey, we talked today to John Shire about his team's defense and how he had faith and belief that their offense would catch up to their defense. And this is exactly what it looks like. Driving, attacking the basket, skipping to the opposite side, the extra pass. That is Duke offense catching up with their defense. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Well, Duke surging into the lead in our College Basketball Wednesday doubleheader starts in Gainesville at 7 Eastern. Florida hosting Oscar Tshiebwe in Kentucky. And Armando Bacot in North Carolina take on Notre Dame at the Joyce Center in South Bend. Can Carolina pull things together in the nick of time? Right now they are on the outside looking in as far as the NCAA tournament, says Joe Lunardi.
And North Carolina is the team that normally leads the ACC in rebounding. But to Andrea's point, one of the things that we talked to Coach Shire about prior to the game was the fact that his foundation this season was based upon their defense and their rebounding. He felt like their offense would catch up as the season went along. But one thing, if they can defend and they can rebound, then they can beat anyone at any given moment.
With a tough leaner, but no. So look at the North Carolina tournament resume. 8-8 in the conference. Strength of schedule. Now, early on they played a tough schedule, but it's not been the case for several weeks. Lunardi has the first 4 out, 0-8, Corey, against quad ones.
And when you look at that number, and again, I understand how shocking it is to people to be 0-8 against quad ones, but if you look at the best teams in the country and you say Alabama, well, Alabama's great. It took 4 overtimes on a neutral floor for Alabama to beat North Carolina.
True.
This North Carolina team is, because of the preseason #1 ranking, they carry that moniker that this has been a bust. But it hasn't been that. They haven't played up to expectations, but it's still a very good team. But they're playing also in a very good league. This league does not get the credit that it deserves for how good quality basketball teams are.
Well, that NC State team that ran by them yesterday, that's a really good basketball team. That backcourt is dazzling. Here's Proctor, way downtown. Go bury that. He's hit a couple of triples.
And speaking of dazzling, this is a freshman that's starting to dazzle in his role as a point guard, continues to play great basketball. But back to your point regarding the NC State team, North Carolina beat NC State earlier this year. So and to try to win on the road in the ACC has been difficult. Home teams have won 65% of the games in this league this year.
Still don't think Miami gets near enough credit for how talented they are.
Not even close, Obi. That is a great team. There's a moniker that the ACC does not have elite teams. Virginia, Miami are elite.
Yes.
And the Blue Devils are getting close to becoming elite once again.
Well, they have built a 7-point lead here on an 18-2 run over 6 minutes. We've seen that so many times in this building, which has seen now over 500 consecutive sellouts. Number 504 here tonight. Ellis trying to get restarted. He buries the jumper.
Ellis finally getting some breathing room after he ran off 11 points in the first 4 minutes of this game. The Blue Devils have locked in on him defensively, giving very little room to breathe.
He was still singing the anthem by the time he got 11. 6:17 to go. Whitehead has been outstanding the last few games. Young will finish that one as he sticks it back up and in.
He has been such a blessing for the Blue Devils. His offensive rebounding at a high clip has been a part of their offense.
That's a foul on that time by Ellis. Here comes Proctor. Catching fire to the lane. Very difficult shot. Mitchell went for the dunk, couldn't get it. A little too easy. Ellis fouled here by Grandison. That'll be foul number 1. So we'll take a timeout. When we come back, a little history lesson from Andrea right here from Cameron Indoor.
I'm at this.
Welcome back to Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke with the lead, and there's so much history in this building, but for Black History Month, we recognize historical figures in the league. So we start with Bill Jones, who played at Maryland in the 1965-66 season as the first black player in the ACC. And then in the 1970-71 season, Wake Forest, Charlie Davis became the ACC's first black player of the year. And finally, in 1972-73, a Skywalker flew onto the scene as David Thompson of NC State became the first black player out of the ACC to earn the National Player of the Year award. Players that shown you could come here, you could have success here, and you can also have success in the nation. Corey, when you think about Black history and paving the way, what stands out to you?
Well, so many different things stand out to me, and of course, I look at all these trailblazers and personally thank each and every one of them for laying the groundwork for me to be able to come and play in this league. But I've also got to give a shout out to the 1983 national champion NC State Wolfpack, which was the first team to ever win a national championship and start 5 black players. So the ACC has been a trailblazer along the entire way in black history.
We have another one in the building here tonight. More on that when we get to the second half. Duke on top 29-24. David Thompson taught me human beings can actually fly without an aircraft. I mean, I had that poster in my room when I was 13 years old and couldn't believe it.
Obi, I've seen a lot of things in this basketball world. One of the most shocking things that I've ever seen is when I had the opportunity to meet David Thompson, and I realized he may be an inch taller than me.
Isn't that incredible?
I thought he had to be 6'7", 6'8", the way you see him putting his elbows above the rim, almost touching the top of the backboard, and he may be 6'3". It was amazing to see that he was my height jumping that high.
Yes, that a human being could get up there and take a quarter off the top of the backboard if you wanted to. There are all sorts of stories about it. David Thompson in a lane, bottled up here is James. He did get free. Shot clock inside 10. James, he's going to drag the foot, and that'll be a traveling violation.
And that's one of the things that, you know, we talk with Coach Shire about. The fact that Derek Lively's in the game. When guys penetrate, they're thinking about the shot block. He's second in the ACC in block and hasn't played nearly the minutes that have Jesse Edwards, who leads the league in block shot. But the fact that he's back there is an intimidating factor for opponents.
Filipowski back in the lane, working hard. Look at Lively go over the top, kept it alive for a moment. I think the other thing about Lively that's so impressive, he keeps so many of those block shots in play in Duke's favor. They keep the basketball.
It really does. And again, and that's a skill in itself to be able to keep them in play. Everybody wants the emphatic block that goes out of bounds.
Beautifully done there by Whitehead. That turns into a dunk by Mitchell. But that was Derek Whitehead going into the stands practically to save that basketball.
And great hustle. The effort defensively has been extraordinary from Duke. Outside of Ellis, they've been able to clamp down on everyone else.
James, the open shooter, but that one's going to go out, touched by Duke. With 3:56 to go in the half.
Playing hard is contagious. When you see your teammates going after the loose ball, going into the stands to save it, it means you have to finish on the other end of the floor. Mark Mitchell recognizing Derek Whitehead's greatness.
With a point guard like Proctor, because you know what? You get more shots.
Not me, Coach. I wanted the ball and the shots. That was the difference. Fonz and I played together in Denver. He was the only guy who threw the basketball, too. But, you know, one of the things I got to make sure I correct is that NC State was not the first team to win a national championship with all 5 stars. It was the first ACC team to win a national championship with all 5 stars. Of course, Texas Western 1966 over Kentucky with Adolph Rupp was the first team to ever win a national championship with 5 black stars.
Pretty good movie about that, too.
And it was.
Roach over the top for Mitchell, and they stuff. Duke's been off to the races like that on many occasions here in the first half since falling behind, and now they're on top 33-24.
But one of the things you mentioned, OB, early was the fact that this Duke team coming off probably its best win of the season at Syracuse, playing well, and they continue to improve on their play. Tyrese Proctor with a hit-ahead pass, just like Fonz and Seth talked about. Jeremy Roach finding Mark Mitchell, everyone touching the basketball, sharing the ball, and the easy baskets allowing the Blue Devils to play faster.
Grandison with the foul, and that's just the second personal foul by Duke here in the first half. Lands outside the 3, now from 18, and takes a hit. He was shooting a 2-pointer, 3:11 to go in the half. And let's take a look at an upcoming Sonic blockbuster. Virginia and North Carolina. Virginia's won 10 of their last 11.
Well, when you think about what Virginia's doing, they've started to settle back in defensively. But what's been an issue for the Hoos as of late offensively, they haven't scored over 70 points in their last 6 games. So North Carolina, who struggled losing 5 of their last 6, gets Virginia try a rematch in the home game, a game that Armando Bacot missed all but 37 minutes of the last time out. So I know he'll be looking forward to that. But the Tar Heels need a win in the worst way.
Desperately. 33-26. Duke searching for win number 20 here tonight. Coming off a victory at Syracuse and followed up that controversial overtime loss at Virginia by beating Notre Dame at Cameron Indoor. Johnson here for Whitehead up top. Can't drain it. Lively keeps it alive. Back out for a second effort. Off the iron again. And Mitchell goes up and he's got an and one. Boy, he's working hard in that lane.
Duke leads the ACC in rebounding, and it's not only because they're finishing up their defensive opportunities, but they're crashing the glass offensively. This is the 3rd offensive rebound on that possession alone. Mark Mitchell coming up with the hoop and the harm opportunity to finish off an and one.
Sidney Curry with the foul. Mitchell is 73% foul shoot. One thing he did very well on Saturday was distribute the ball. He had 4 assists in the game at Syracuse.
Well, he played in the middle of that zone. And again, having a guy with skill playing in the middle of that zone that can make shots and make plays for his teammates is always going to be something that can hurt. We won't even call it a 2-3 zone for the Orange because it's never been an actual 2-3.
Ellis with the kick. Here's Traynor. Yes, all net from 3-point land.
Big bucket from J.J. Traynor right there in a 7-point game. Again, Duke has come back, taking a lead in this one, but they really haven't separated themselves from the Cards.
That's a sign of progress for this Louisville team because, you know, 5-6 weeks ago, they're probably already out of this game.
Especially on the road. One thing for certain, they struggled on the road, but to be where they are right now against the
He could have done more damage with that if Lively wanted to. That was kind of a gentle dunk.
Still counts for two, my friend.
Sure does. Under 2:38-29. On the drive and flipped up and in by Withers. Not an easy shot for the 6'9" junior.
And Trey talked to us about Ellis being from Durham, but Jalen Withers is a North Carolina native also from Charlotte, so he's a guy that I'm sure has a lot of friends and family in the building today.
It's actually been their best three-point man, 44% for the year. Stepping back, shot coming, and that'll be off target by Lively. Louisville going for it, but they're on the line right in front of their bench, and they're going to turn it back over to the Blue Devils here. Couple of teammates going after the ball, two wearing the same shirts. Got a timeout on the floor. Louisville gives it back to Duke when we return to Cameron Indoor. Dave O'Brien alongside Corey Alexander. Final seconds here of the first half. Louisville shot out to a pretty decent lead. Duke caught up and went by him on a long run. But the Cardinals are staying engaged here. Proctor drives. Back out for Whitehead. A leaner in traffic. The foul won't go. And a foul here on Louisville. They foul Filipowski on the floor with 58 seconds left. That'll be on Mike James, his second.
When you look at the Blue Devils right now, 4 freshmen and 1 junior on the floor right now. And the best freshman this season, Kyle Filipowski, really hasn't gotten off to a great start in this game. Hasn't been that effective offensively, but when you've got Derek Lively playing the way he's playing, Derek Whitehead, Tyrese Proctor, Mark Mitchell, everyone else stepping up, you don't have to have a heroic effort from Filipowski, but of course you look at his numbers averaging 15.1 and 9.2 rebounds a game this season. He's absolutely capable of heroic efforts.
Mitchell on the bench. He's had a very solid half. Filipowski out of Westtown, New York. And smooth at the line. He has 4 points.
I think Filipowski was trying to get a couple of good points by wearing coach's number. John Shire wore number 30 here at Duke, so it
doesn't hurt. Does not hurt.
That can't hurt at all. I get it.
I have an idea that maybe he would have played significant minutes anyway if he was wearing 32.
But doesn't hurt, as you mentioned.
Doesn't hurt. He's having a terrific freshman year. Ellis with the drive and kick, and it's going to be an offensive. Well, he hasn't made many mistakes here in the first half.
He has not, but that's really just great defense by Filipowski, who gets sucked in, helping off of a shooter at a strong side corner. But recognizing L. Ellis with a full head of steam would have a difficult time stopping and not picking up the offensive foul.
Proctor from three-point land. Not this time. They're going to get Filipowski over the top for the personal with 40 seconds left in the half.
But you can't mind that foul, especially when you're putting so much pressure on Louisville attacking that offensive glass.
It's his first. So the Cardinals to put it in. Trainer. Ellis, the senior, averaging 18 a contest. James from the corner, and nothing but a net.
It's details, but if you notice, this exact same play that L. Ellis made prior, but he came to a 1-2, gathered himself, made the pass, and he didn't pick up the charge. That's the type of progression Kenny Payne loves to see from his team.
Interesting. That was ruled a two-pointer, but the bench for Louisville had 3 coaches holding up 3 fingers. So we shall see. Final seconds of the half. Roach lifting, and down it goes. Very calm, cool, and collected. And that's the end of the half. Now Louisville's still in it, but Duke opens up a 42-33 advantage.
Kenny Payne has to have loved the start, and Jon Scheyer has to have loved the finish of this first half. L. Ellis, this time no charge, and finds Mike James in the corner. Looks like his toes behind the line to me, which means that most likely that will be a three.
Let's go down to Dre.
Coach Scheyer, Louisville had an 18-9 lead, and then you go on a 10-0 run, end up getting the lead back. What was the key to that run for your guys?
Thought I'd start with our defense. We did a great job playing together on that end. And I had some really good plays down here, just being connected, sharing it. And again, they're not going to go away. It needs to be a 40-man game here.
Well, you talked earlier today to us about Louisville being a better team in their last 3 games. What's important for you in the second half to create more separation?
Well, it's been our defense all year. And so playing another 20 minutes, thought we overhelped a couple times. Ellis is a big-time player, can put a lot of pressure on your defense, but we need to know when and where to help from. So we have to clean that up here.
Coach, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Duke did a very good job of sharing the sugar. 15 Duke field goals, 10 assists, and that's by 7 different players moving it around. 42-33, Blue Devils at the half. Big Monday as part of Road to Champ Week presented by Wendy's. This is the ACC on ESPN, and we're at halftime, ready for the second half at Cameron Indoor. The Duke Blue Devils on top of the Louisville Cardinals, 42-33. We take a look now at the game time moment brought to you by Guinness.
And there were a number of game time moments, and it started with L. Ellis scoring 11 of Louisville's first 13 points, getting it going from all spots on the floor, especially out beyond the three-point arc. But how it's going now is about the Blue Devils getting out in transition, sharing the basketball, sharing it so much on one possession that regular speed wasn't fast enough. We had to speed it up to show how well the Blue Devils are passing around. 10 assists on 15 made field goals for the Blue Devils in the first half, sharing the sugar, as you love to say.
I love to say that. Now Duke, with that controversial loss at Virginia, didn't get a chance to go to the foul line at the end, but then they backed it up with a couple of really nice wins. They're playing well tonight. Is this the best basketball they've played all year?
I believe it is the best basketball they've played consistently, but they also have their full complement of players and healthy. And that means a lot to Coach Jon Scheyer and to his staff, and they're taking advantage of it.
Louisville with the basketball as we begin the second half. We'll see Ellis could get cooking again. It couldn't have been much hotter in the opening minutes of the game. He put his team on his back. That's going to roll off the iron on the foul. As we take a look at a game track brought to you by Sargento. They opened it up on an 18-9 run. Back came Duke, distributing the ball so effectively and really crashing the offensive glass.
And L. Ellis, you look at the numbers for him in the great start. 15 points, an efficient 5 for 8 from the field, 4 assists with 2 turnovers. And although Louisville only had 6 turnovers in that first half, those turnovers turned into 9 points for the Blue Devils.
Mike James at the line. Let's go down to Dre.
Yeah, Dave, I talked to head coach Kenny Payne coming out of halftime. He said that his team, they were the aggressors at first. He said, we attacked, we put them on their heels, but when Duke punched back, we wilted. He said this team has to figure out how to sustain their effort on both ends, but offensively, attacking the basket, making the extra pass, and getting open is what he has to see.
And Dre, that's one of the things that Kenny Payne talked to us about earlier today, was not settling for jump shots. It was continue to stay in attack mode, get to the paint, knowing that Lively would be there, and they would find opportunities on the perimeter playing inside out.
4 points for Roach. He got into the paint, got exactly the shot he wanted. The danger zone, of course, for Louisville is the opening seconds of the second half. They've got a brace for a Duke run.
Sounds like you've done a game or two here before.
As have you, my friend. And way downtown, Filipowski fills it up, and they have their biggest lead tonight, 47-35.
And it's something about that halftime conversation, and it spanned, of course, through 42 years of Coach K. Jon Scheyer doing the same thing this season, his first year. The Blue Devils always come out of that halftime locker room with a little bit more edge.
Scooped up by Mitchell. Proctor lays it up. And tipped up and in by Filipowski.
Defense turning into offense, the turnovers turning into points, and right now Kenny Payne wants to talk it over with his team as the Blue Devils have had all the energy and the momentum coming out of halftime.
is a better sound in sports than that one right there, the basketball going through that clean.
It absolutely is no better sound of the game, whether you're in a gym by yourself or in a gym full of Cameron crazies. And we see the Cameron crazies recognizing greatness in the building. Nolan Smith, who won a national championship here alongside John Shire in 2010. Those two guys in the same backcourt together. And if there was anyone who was expecting this Duke run to start the second half, it was this young man, Nolan Smith. He's been a part of it as a player, as a coach, and the first time he's coming into this building as the opposition.
Gotta believe that was a pretty well-informed scout that he brought to the floor today for their workout. And they got off to that great start. They're not able to maintain it, though. In the paint, drops in two, the 6'10 sophomore, the transfer from Tennessee.
And a great way to establish something out of a timeout, simply because you're not taking a long shot that leads to a breakout for the Blue Devils to get out of transition once again.
And into the 7-0 Duke run over the previous 2 minutes. Oh, what a move by Filipowski, and slams it down. Goodness.
That's a play we're going to have to add to the book of Filipowski. He's got so much into his game, so much versatility. He can shoot the three, he can put it on the floor, but also awesome with his back to the basket and his ability to finish around the rim.
Withers going up against Lively and blocked it. And a possession arrow will take it the other end of the floor. It'll be Duke ball. I just think he's such a smart shot blocker, Corey, because he's not trying to swat this 14 rows in. He's trying to keep possession of it. Filipowski with a sensational move.
Well, and you're talking about the Twin Towers. How many college basketball teams right now do you see playing two bigs? Let alone 2 7-footers on the front line. And these guys complement each other so very well. What Filipowski does offensively and what Lively does defensively.
Proctor with the kick. Here's a shot by Mitchell. Rebound free comes back to the Cardinals. They just honored their 2013 national championship team at the Young Center. 51-37. James gives it up here for Ellis. Shot clock a factor, down to 5. He'll drive it, airborne, and it rolls in. Difficult angle, got it to go. They'll give him 17.
Well, Ellis has continued to attack the paint. The problem for the Cards has been they really haven't been able to get much production from anyone else. J.J. Trainor's knocked down a couple of threes, but they're going to have to find someone else that can give them some offensive opportunity.
They'll try to pull up pop, no. Torn away by Withers, the junior from Charlotte. Louisville needs a run. And a foul here to stop the clock. On the drive by L. Ellis. We were talking about a moment ago. A very, very special man here inside the crowd. Looking professorial indeed. C.B. Claiborne. More on him when we return. Legendary Cameron Indoor here. C.B. Claiborne, a trailblazer, a history maker, wearing that Duke uniform. First black player here in 1965. And tonight, the Duke Blue Devils wearing their warm-up shirts with his name on the back prior to the game. He was delighted to be honored by the crowd, and he is with Ray.
Dave, thank you. Now, I was given permission to call you two things, CB or Dr. Claiborne. So we're going to go Dr. Claiborne.
All right.
The players have your last name and number on their shooting shirts. You got a standing ovation. What does all of that mean to you back on your old stomping grounds?
Well, actually, it was quite exhilarating to walk out on the court to see my name on the back of the jerseys. But this is Cameron. It actually isn't surprising. It feels like being in Cameron.
And for you, as the first black player here for Duke men's basketball, what were some obstacles that you faced on your journey?
Well, there were a lot of obstacles. When I came, there were only 7 black students on campus. So this is the 60s. This was a time of systematic exclusion. A lot of us couldn't do things I mean, our joke is we couldn't even get a haircut on campus.
And for you, what kept you moving forward? What kept you working through some of those obstacles here?
My community. So I wasn't by myself. I had a black community around me, but I also had teammates. So every time I stepped on this court, 4 other guys stepped on the court with me. So I was with my team.
Valuing teammates is something that is so important, something that John Shire talks to this team about. When you watch this current Duke team, what do you want the guys to know about what it means to be here and play for this program?
Well, the value of the brotherhood is real, right? And I think you can walk out there and score a lot of points, but that's not what it's about. It's about being with your teammates and succeeding together, I think.
Well, listen, CB, for me as a black woman that played this game and for so many that watched you and that play this game now, we just have to say thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks for the interview.
Back to you, Dave.
Dr. Claiborne's terrific, isn't he?
Absolutely. And, of course, what else would you expect from a guy from the state of Virginia? Danville, Virginia's finest. You knew I was going to look it up. I had to know where he was from, representing himself so very well on the microphone.
That's going to be an offensive clearing out was Huntley Hatfield. He commits the foul. 56-41.
And CB getting the opportunity to go over and see his former coach, Bucky Waters, giving him a huge hug, who actually, Coach Waters also had here Chuck Daly with him. And you go back and you think about the lineage of Duke coaching. Chuck Daly, who was assistant coach to Coach Bucky Waters, also the 1992 Dream Team coach. Know who had his assistant coach on that team?
Ooh.
That would be one Mike Krzyzewski.
It just might. Just Coach K. Legends everywhere.
That brotherhood runs deep.
Indeed it does. Young in the paint will hook it up there. Went for the bank. Now Duke has grabbed control here in the second half. Louisville still looking for a way back in. Only Hatfield 6'10".
Now that should be a flop.
Gonna call a foul.
Even though there was some contact, if there were ever a flop, that might be the one. Surprised that the warning was not a warning, but the technical foul wasn't thrown out on that one.
These days goes right to
Now
the
that's
team.
bad. No, that's what we're gonna have to talk to Flip about. That was bad.
Huntley Hatfield to the line.
I'm sure we will see that on not top 10 on Friday.
Perhaps we will. He's a 75% foul shooter. Still arguing his point there.
At this point, be fortunate, Flip, that was not a flop, and Louisville's not shooting a free throw with no one standing on the lane.
No flop for Flip. 56-42. Louisville's been a pretty good foul shooting team. It's the one area where they are better than their opponents. Statistically, they make 74%. He misses the second, but picked off by Withers. Here's Ellis in a triple. And a big rebound by Filipowski. He's really been one of the best rebounders in the ACC from Jump Street.
He absolutely has been that. It adds so much to this team, offensively and defensively as well. I've been, pleasantly surprised with the way he moves his feet and he's locked in defensively. One of the reasons why I think he will be a good NBA player.
Roach on the drive, went for the angle. He'll draw the foul. Duke coming in at 19-8, looking for their 11th win of the conference, trying to knock off Kenny Payne. And what has been one long year for Louisville, a 4-23 record. The foul there against Curry. That's going to be number 4 on Sidney Curry. And Roach will misfire in the first one. He's coming off 17 at Syracuse on Saturday. Curry going to the bench. In deep foul trouble.
Kenny Payne still coaching them up, though. He talked to us about just winning small moments. It doesn't necessarily was not always going to result in winning a game, as the second chance opportunity for Grandison is good. And the Blue Devils build the lead to 17 on their 11th offensive rebound. But for Kenny Payne, again, it's about winning small moments. He understands that right now the record is not going to show the progress as to what has happened to his team this season. but at the same time, he's still trying to build the culture as to where he wants to develop into the future of this program.
19 points for his star, L. Ellis, just named ACC Co-Player of the Week. Whitehead, power move, no! Young back up, he'll draw the foul. Ryan Young so good on the offensive glass, he's relentless there.
He absolutely has been that. And again, when you change it up and you go away from the rim protection that is Derek Lively and you bring in Ryan Young, you still have to be accountable for keeping those guys off the offensive glass. 15 second chance points for the Blue Devils, which is absolutely the difference right now, a 15-point lead for Duke.
They have 12 offensive rebounds. Lively there on the bench for the moment. Another foul shot coming for Young, who's really good at the line typically, 82%.
Fifth in the ACC in offensive rebounding, and this is a guy that's rarely a starter, not playing heavy minutes, but still has such an impact when he steps on the floor.
60-44 Duke. Ellis looking to make a move. Very bouncy, but can't connect. Rebound knocked free. Still on the deck. And Kenny Payne asked for a timeout. He got it. Timeout Louisville to preserve that possession.
Jon Scheyer not happy with his team after he watched Roosevelt Wheeler get on the floor, but his guys were standing around, no one diving after the basketball. And we've talked about Kenny Payne continuing to try to coach each and every moment with a inexperienced team. Jon Scheyer may have the youngest team in the league. When you think about the freshmen, of course, he has a couple of grad transfers in Grandison and Young, but the 5 freshmen, of course, they're very talented, but still a very young team, still trying to learn their way around college basketball.
Well, one of those freshmen certainly not playing like one, and that's Filipowski, the 7-foot, 230-pounder. Came in averaging 15 points, 9 rebounds. He's taken home another ACC Rookie of the Week. You compare him with some of the other great ones in their first year here at Duke.
Well, when you compare him to these guys, one thing that you have to mention is the fact that Kyle Filipowski had a double-double his first 4 games throughout his Duke career. None of these guys were able to do that, but you're looking at a number 2 pick, a number 3 pick, and a number 3 pick in the NBA draft. I'm not saying that Filipowski goes that high. However, he has had a similar level of impact on this Duke program as we've seen from those greats on that previous graphic.
Ellis with the kick. Withers travels. Duke basketball.
Okay, OB, so of course you've covered Duke basketball for a very long time. I played against Duke and covered Duke basketball for a very long time. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go ahead.
Give me your best Blue Devil.
Best
Blue Devil.
Boy, that's a tough but I could go right away and say, well, Christian Laettner will be number 1 on my list.
Well, he'd be number 1 on my list as well. So again, we agree on that one. And there have been a lot of great Blue Devils, but I can tell you I played against that guy, and in my opinion, the best college basketball player that I ever played against.
I mean, just a spectacular college player. Spectacular college player. Did nothing but win.
I can remember coming into this building my freshman year at Virginia, Christian Laettner's senior year, and the first 3 or 4 possessions of the game, my big guy, Ted Jeffries was beating him up. He couldn't get anything going on the post. Running down the floor, heard Late say, man, forget this. And he's pulled up at the top of the key, knocked down a 3. He proceeded to knock down 5 3-pointers in the first half. The game was over. He scores 30. And he said, I just didn't want to battle with you guys in the paint this game.
Miller with the dunk. Now think about that. That's immense confidence. But the ability to just change your game plan tonight. Hey, forget about going inside.
And this is in 1992 before everyone shot the 3 ball. But you look at the Blue Devils. So many greats who have graced this. My boy G. Hill up top. Without that bad haircut that he had in the national championship game. I'll wait to hear from him on that.
Introduce
Duke on top, 60-46. Number 1 South Carolina takes on Tennessee. That is Thursday night in women's college basketball. The matchup on ESPN. Coverage beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. South Carolina barely surviving their last one.
Yes, surviving on the road. It's difficult to win on the road in college basketball, regardless as to how good you are. Another testament to, of course, one of the things we've talked about with the ACC. Home teams have won close to 65% of their home games. A lot of good teams in this league protecting their home court. The Blue Devils doing exactly that here this evening.
Almost from the opening minutes, we talked about how well they have played as far as passing the basketball. Up top, Proctor can't drain it. Every Duke player who has played in a game has at least one assist. That's 8 different players, 16 assists in the game. That is impressive.
That is a very impressive stat. And again, it shows really the foundation that Jon Scheyer is trying to establish within his program. And this truly is his program. It's no longer Mike Krzyzewski's show. Jon Scheyer is the coach here. He's doing the recruiting, he's doing the coaching, and these guys are following his example. And it's never been more evident in the fact that this team is a defense-first, rebounding team that is allowing their offense now to catch up as Derek Whitehead lines up another one. But Whitehead is another one of those examples, and one of the reasons why this Duke team has gotten so much better as the season gone along.
Coach K recently came to the Notre Dame game the other day as a fan for the first time here.
Yeah, got an opportunity to come in and see a former assistant in Mike Bray. And Coach Bray was thankful for the huge bottle of wine that Coach K brought him.
Well, I guarantee it's the good stuff. I guarantee that. Lands. Can't hit. Mitchell has had a really good game. High up for another rebound. As we approach the 10-man mark at Cameron Indoor. Louisville came out swinging, but Duke closed the gap pretty quickly. Lively will hand off. Shot clock inside 10. Roach commanding traffic. Lively in the lane, draws the foul, and the youngster heads to the line. This was a sweet moment on Tuesday, a thunderous ovation.
Coach K making their first game back this season since retiring, and a strong effort by the Blue Devils to get a win in a closely contested game by Notre Dame. Notre Dame played very well.
They did, and you'd better win that game. If Coach K says, I'm coming on Tuesday, probably part of the message is, hey, you better win if I'm going to beat it, and they did. It was a very good game. Mike Bray, by the way, one of the best people we know in coaching. It's going to be sad to see him go forward now. Mike has said this is not the end of his coaching career. It's going to be the end of his Notre Dame coaching career.
Yes, and I think that is one of the things that should be made very well clear. We will see Mike Bray on the sidelines again. It won't be for Notre Dame, but you're talking about one of the better coaches, especially on the offensive end of the floor, that this game has seen over the past 20 seasons.
I hope we can grab him for a little while at ESPN, put him in the studio.
You know what? He's so laid back. I think he'd be great at it, but he's not suiting up. That's the kicker. He's got to be able to wear his shorts.
That's right. Trader will knock that one down, and it's 61-51. Duke without a field goal in over 4 minutes, and that's allowed the Cardinals to kind of creep back in it.
Yeah, Louisville locking in defensively and making timely buckets, and this is one of the things where we talk about the improvement of the Cards. They don't wither in games now. They may get down, but they're not just going to walk away and hide. They're staying intact.
Shot clock to 3. Filipowski got to get a shot in the air. That's going to be a shot clock violation. It did not touch the iron. Scheyer wanted a foul on the shot attempt.
Getting close to 5 minutes on the drought for the Blue Devils, and now an opportunity for the Cards to cut this to single digits.
Crowd getting a little bit restless. Ellis on the drive, hooks a pass. Trainer's down. Ellis scoops it up there, can't finish it. J.J. Trainer went down, though, and grabbing at that right ankle.
Right here.
And he is in some pain. Take a look.
See Trainer with that right foot stepping on Filipowski's foot.
We can go to the media timeout now.
Just a basketball play. But a tough injury for a guy who's been playing very good basketball for the Cards. Good to see him getting on his feet.
J.J. Traynor is up. Really good sign there. He'll be back in a moment.
So sweet in town. Obi, back to you.
Kev, thank you very much. Fawn, Seth, great to hear from you guys as we will when this one is over. 8:42 to go. Louisville's still in the contest.
And Louisville has hung around. Last possession opportunity to get it to one. The back door, nice play. Out of timeout. The ATO, the backdoor cut by Jeremy Roach to get the bucket to provide a little more separation for the Blue Devils.
That's something that has stayed from the Coach K era, one of many things. Coming out of the timeout, getting a great play, getting the basket, and swatted away by Lively. That'll be back over to Louisville with another block shot for the 7-footer.
Obi, one thing you know you have to have to be able to run your ATOs like that, you've got to have all your guys locked in. And that's important to be able to come to your huddle, everyone on the same page, even the coaching staff to know exactly what's necessary at the time and gain and score, but the players to be able to go out and execute as well.
Ellis curling around, and a foul here against Duke with 8:09 remaining. That foul on Proctor, number 3. So the Cardinals to put it in. Withers takes it in the lane up against Filipowski. A little fall away. Right idea, but can't cash in. 7 rebounds for the big guy, Filipowski. Goes around the back, loses control. Ellis up against Proctor, lays it up and in. Pretty move.
Absolutely. I mean, it is fun watching Ellis play. He's one of those guys throughout the league that you just enjoy watching him play. He plays hard, he plays with the emotion, and of course, he can go get a bucket.
He's 21. 8 out of 15. Started the game like a house afire. Roach moves Filipowski to the wing. Lively coming up for screen. Here's Proctor from three-point land. He's had a good shooting night.
He's had a good shooting night, and he and Jeremy Roach are playing great basketball together in the backcourt. We've seen the Blue Devils share the backcourt with 2 point guards before. It's happened a couple of times where they've been able to win national championships. And speaking of point guards, Ellis, a shooting guard, scoring guard, moved to point, but with the beautiful Euro to finish with the left hand between two Duke defenders. Beautiful play.
Just today, a co-player of the week in the ACC. Hey, coming up next on ESPN, we'll take you to Fort Worth for a big one in the Big 12. Number 3 Kansas battling number 24 TCU. And they could have leading scorer Mike Miles back.
And Mike Miles is back. He's playing great basketball. My question is, will the NCAA look at the return of Mike Miles when it comes to Selection Sunday? Will they talk about the fact that he was injured and what happened with TCU when he was out in comparison with him in the lineup? Because if you do it with TCU, you've got to do it with Duke. You've got to do it with other teams around the country. No one has had as many injuries as the Blue Devils has throughout this season. But at the same time, if they're going to use that metric for one group, they've got to use it for the other.
Duke with a foul. We've seen that before, and it's part of, as you say, the protocol. Part of the selection process. It should be there.
It should be. I mean, you think about the number of games that Jeremy Roach has missed. You think about what Derek Whitehead is doing right now, the games he's missed. He didn't play against Kansas to start the season. Derek Lively missed games throughout the year. So when you think about this Duke team, they're just now getting to be a whole unit and playing great basketball and doing so.
Well, they really have been outstanding when they've had everybody healthy. Filipowski with the theft. Trying to sneak that one into the paint. 66-53. It's 11 turnovers now for Louisville. Coming up on 6.5 minutes to go. 13th game with all the players available, and they're 11-1 when they do. Lively mishandled that one. He had a dunk right in his hands.
That's one Derek Lively's going to want back. Glad to see J.J. Traynor back on the floor after turning that ankle, though.
Huntley Hatfield with a nice follow. 2 points for him, give him 5. Louisville continues to hang around, refusing to get blown out, at least to this point in the contest. Roach to drive it, skips into the paint, and it's going to fall for him.
Think about how much of a better team the Blue Devils are with Jeremy Roach on the floor. You take him off the floor, and again, it's a different team that has to be judged differently.
Three-pointer swished in by Traynor. He's only hitting 28% from three-point territory. He's coming off a really good game against Clemson at 16 points, 9 rebounds.
But Traynor shoots it better as a starter, been in the starting lineup as of late, and starting to play with a lot more confidence than he did when he was coming off the bench.
Well, he cuts the Duke lead to 10. On the back down, Filipowski. He's swinging here for the jumper by Proctor. Not this time.
Another opportunity to get it into single digits, and if you're able to do that by the next media timeout, I'm sure Kenny Payne will look at that as a win.
Hand off for James. Traynor, again a triple. Line driving, that one for a miss. Duke's still up 10. So there have been a handful of times where Louisville had that opportunity to get within double figures. They've been unable to do it. Jeremy Roach. That one kicked. Looked like off of Duke, but should be off Louisville.
Yeah, Keith Kimball had a good look on that one. Went over and corrected the call, which is the correct call. Went off of Brandon Huntley Hatfield, off his foot, out of bounds. But the camera crazies were sure to allow our great officiating crew to know that was going the wrong direction.
6 to get off a shot here for the Blue Devils. And a timeout. Proctor an issue getting it in, so takes the timeout with about 4.5 to go. Duke still on top, 68-58 here in the ACC tonight. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's 2 for $6. The best deal in fast food.
Drea, back to you guys.
Listen to Kev directed traffic there. That's what he does. 8 different directions. 68-58 with 4.5 to play. Duke to check it in after taking a timeout. 6 seconds on the shot clock. He's still having trouble. Bounces in here for Roach. He'll back it in once again, running a play to get a quick strike out of the timeout.
But that's a vet move. Jeremy Roach recognizing he had more than enough time. He didn't have to just throw up a shot once he caught.
In the lane, James only had to wasn't ready for it. He's going to stay inside and draw the foul. So Brandon Huntley Hatfield, a 6'10 sophomore from Clarksville, Tennessee, heading to the line as he was fouled by Lively underneath, number 2.
When you look at this Louisville Cardinals team, you look at the pieces, and of course, I'm pretty certain that Kenny Payne and his staff will hit the transfer portal hard this year, but there are a number of pieces that they have. You think about a guy like Brandon Huntley Hatfield, who was a top 100 recruit, went to Tennessee, comes to Louisville in his second season. Ellis could play a COVID year. He could have a 5th year, whether that's with Louisville or somewhere else, to be able to finish out his college basketball career if he doesn't decide to put his name in the NBA draft. But you've got a lot of pieces with the Cards program right now. Mike James comes to mind that you can build around to try to bring in talent to help benefit.
As you can see there, our hoop scoop, he can play a little bit, Kenny. But he said during the practice today, it is not about me. My kids don't care about that, and I don't make it about me. The one loss record at this point, which is, of course, 4-23. Now those losses are on his shoulders at the end of the day. As Proctor sheds the D, but can't convert, and it'll go the other way.
And we talked with Kenny Payne just about, the fact that, right now they're 4-23. That's a struggle from a guy who has won his entire life. You go back, of course, winning a national championship at Louisville as a player, but also winning a national championship as assistant coach at Kentucky. He's used to winning. And we talked to him about some of the people that he leans on and he talks to during these tough times. Of course, the first name he mentions is Larry Brown.
Down the paint, Roach with the left hand. So they get the defensive play by Young, and they convert on the other end, and they're back up by 12.
Great play by Lively, stopping the opportunity at one end with the block shot, starting the fast break.
There. Terrific pass by Mike James. And they get the finish back to 10.
Louisville's not going away. And the thing is, the longer this game goes, of course, a 10-point lead is difficult to overcome. But at the same time, it puts a little more pressure on the Blue Devils to make the right play each and every time down the floor here down the stretch.
Duke running a little bit of clock here. 2:22 to go. Mitchell making his move. Using that window beautifully.
Amazing to watch these freshmen grow up right before our eyes for the Blue Devils. We know about Filipowski, but he's not the only one.
Well, it's the second time Young has done that. Made a couple of outstanding defensive plays here in the last couple of minutes. Time for tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by Principal Financial Group. Most 1,000-point scorers in D1 history. Louisville 69 to 67. Carolina at the top. Lance can't hit it. That'll be back over to Duke. I think maybe the score of this game would surprise a good many fans who are tuning in here in the last 2 minutes, but
I'll tell you who will not surprise. Coaches throughout the ACC, because each and every one of them I've talked to has said the same word about Louisville. They're dangerous now. They were not dangerous to start the season. They weren't dangerous to start the ACC season. But now they're dangerous, and that's a testament to Kenny Payne and his, all-star staff when you consider the fact that they've kept these guys playing and playing hard, even though the record doesn't show success.
Well, they had a dangerous look in their eye when the game started. Certainly Al Ellis did. Under two, unable to sustain it though. And Duke really took command with a 16-2 run at one point. Young handing off for Roach. Roach into traffic, got a block and a foul on the play. They'll get Roosevelt Wheeler.
Love watching Jeremy Roach when he's not always settling for jump shots. His Mama Carol, Pops Joe in the stands. Of course, always represent the crew making that trip down from Leesburg, Virginia. Heavy miles on the car getting from Leesburg. I had to drive up one time to go work out with Jeremy.
What's that drive like?
From my house, and I live in Virginia, it's 2.5 hours. You probably add another 2.5 here. You're talking at least 4.5, 5-hour trip.
But what a thrill.
Oh, absolutely.
What a thrill.
They love it. They enjoy it.
To be able to see your son play here and play really well, be a part of something as magnificent as this, college basketball, and you get a chance to see him do it on a regular basis, get in the car and go.
Absolutely, and he committed to Duke very early. He didn't wait around for his senior year. He committed to Duke as a junior. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. And of course, I'm sure his parents, as well as Coach Shire, are very happy that he stuck around for as long as he has.
Miller lining up a long one that goes in and out. It's just a shame they're not enjoying themselves. Every time we get them on camera, they're just not having a good time. Well, coming up with a 1-minute mark. And Duke about to salt this one away, leading 76-62 over Louisville. And for John Shire, this is no small thing. And nothing but net by Proctor. Talk about the icing on the cake. But for John Shire, he's about to go into the 20-win column in his first year as a head coach. That's still very meaningful.
It is very meaningful, and more importantly, this will be the third straight win for the Blue Devils after losing 2 straight. And all the question marks that they had to answer. And right now, Duke playing better basketball, and this is the time of year when you want to be playing your best going into March.
79-62. Proctor's been a big factor. The quick dribble going to be blocked by Wheeler. Out it goes here with 17.8 showing. So the fans about to celebrate here inside Cameron Indoor. Another victory for the Blue Devils. Comes free in the paint, picked off by Mitchell. He was right in the thick of it all night long, and that's a win for Duke. And their 20th of the season, 20 for John Shire in year 1. Now 20-8 and 11-6 in the ACC. As we take a look at the Capital One rewarding performance, Kyle Filipowski at it again.
And Kyle Filipowski continues to put together a great freshman season. Not only offensively, but defensively as well. Rebounding over 9 a game. And, of course, the beneficiary of a number of beautiful finds from his teammates and tickling the twines to one of the greatest sounds that you will ever hear in the game. Finishing it off with force. Kyle Filipowski and his versatility was on full display here tonight.
So Duke wins this one handily in the end, 79-62. Louisville falling to 4-24 as the rebuild continues for the Cardinals. Let's go downstairs to Dre.
Jeremy, congratulations on the win. Last 5 games, this team loses 2 in a row, and then you win 3 in a row. As the veteran of the group, how have you seen the team get better as the season has gone on?
I mean, well, we've been through a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. We got a young team, but we've learned from all our losses, and Coach said now it's time to string together some wins. So it's the end of the season. This is where you should really gel, and I think we're finding our way right now.
One thing Coach Shire talks a lot about is the combo of you and Tyrese Proctor. How has he impacted your game, and how has that 1-2 punch been?
I mean, he's had a lot of relief off me. He's bringing up the ball, setting stuff up, setting guys up. It's making it kind of easy for me just do my thing and focus on one thing. But I mean, I'm happy for Tyrese. I love playing with him. He's been the greatest addition to our team.
And speaking of you being able to do your thing, we put your family on camera towards the end of the game, and they're smiling and they're laughing. How much does their support mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, they support me at every game, whether it's far away, whether they're away, home. They're there all the time. So I mean, I love them. I love my mom, love my dad, love my sister, my brother. Hope he's watching too. But I love they show so much support, and that gives you all the confidence in the world.
And how far is that drive from Leesburg to here?
About 4.5 hours. About 4.5. They make that trip 2 times a week, so gotta love them. Gotta love them.
You showed out for him tonight. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Going to feel a lot shorter tonight, I think.
It absolutely will. I was spot on. 4.5, 5 hours. Right, I called it.
You know you're Virginia. Nobody
Geography.
knows Virginia like you do.
It's my new thing.
Dre, great job there. Stay tuned for Kansas and TCU. That's coming up next on ESPN. For my partner, Corey Alexander, and our entire crew, thanks so much for watching. I'm Dave O'Brien as we say goodnight from Cameron Indoor. Duke sails to a 79-62 win over the Ville as we go back to Kev, Fonz, and Seth in the studio.